Let's hear from Dan Lanning. Oregon wins the Big Ten title game against Penn State. Anything else from the game? Let me ask you this very quickly, because I want to get to a lot of this audio. I shouldn't have done this. I made a grave mistake. One of my best friends is a diehard Duck. And I'm not going to say he's a bigger Duck fan than you, because I know how you are, but he lives and dies with only that. He does not care about any other sport, really, or any other team. Everything about the Ducks is him. I made the grave mistake of saying, if this is the defense against Georgia, Texas, you're not winning. And he goes, well, good thing we're not playing Georgia, Texas right now. And I said, well,
snap back at you immediately.
Probably a dumb thing to text a Duck fan at that point. Anything about that game make you nervous, or are you just taking this game by game saying, stuck in a different version of a game, I don't think that's who the Duck defense is going to be going forward?
I mean, yeah, the way they played defense was alarming, dude. They got absolutely shredded in that game on Saturday night. Penn State had 500 yards of offense on them. They ran the ball for 297.
297 on the ground is crazy.
Drew Aller torched him on the ground, which I think I had a comment at one point last week. Aller's not really a threat with his legs. He just killed him every time he ran the ball. They didn't have any answers really defensively outside of the turnovers and then making them settle for the opening field goals. So, yeah, that was incredibly alarming. One of the thoughts I did have with that, though, is how much time. They definitely had game plan for Penn State just in case. But I also wondered in the week leading up, they knew that they were going to be in the Big Ten title game. How much percentage of breakdown did they give to game planning for Ohio State as opposed to Penn State and who they thought they were going to play in that
Ohio
game?
State, yeah.
That was one of the thoughts that was rattling around in my mind. But the way they played defense was alarming. There's no doubt about it. They didn't have any pass rush. That's been a strength of the team all year. They had 10 sacks the week before. Yeah. Look, Washington's terrible, and their offensive line is atrocious. So you don't compare that to what happens against Penn State. But their defensive line has had an impact on almost every game that they played. That was not the case. But I also like looking at the positives, right? I mean, Tez Johnson, we talked about it when he was out, how much they desperately missed him. To have 11 catches, 181 yards, they had no answer for him.
He was wide open
every time. Every time. Kenyon Sadiq having 2 touchdown catches on his only 2 catches of the game. Oof. One of them hurdling a guy. It just shows you how much depth there is from that standpoint. They ran the football efficiently when they needed to. Gabriel, talk about using your legs, used his legs from time to time. So there were positives I thought to take away. And the main one just simply being their quarterback, man. There's something about him in big games that breathes a level of confidence into me that as much as I love Bo or Herbert or some of the other guys that they've had, I don't know if I've ever had this feeling about a quarterback in a big game in an Oregon uniform.
Okay, so there's a lot of Oregon still has a path to try to win their first national championship, right? But there's other elements of this that I think it's fair to be saying out loud. Is this the greatest Oregon Ducks season ever? I think you can make an argument it is. I also, as much as you love Gabriel, I think it's fair to start wondering, where does Tez rank for people in receivers all time for Oregon?
He's absolutely up there.
He's been here just 2 seasons, but in those 2 seasons, especially this year, holy crap.
Yeah.
I've never seen a receiver in Oregon football history have the ability to separate and find so many open spots on the field. And he's a guy they're preparing for.
Yes, he's the guy they're circling to try and stop.
It's just unreal what he has done, and I think he is in the running to maybe be greatest receiver in Duck history, even if it's only 2 years.
Most explosive and game-changing. There's no doubt about that.
Here's Dan Lanning on the post-game podium. So this is on CBS. They had just won. He is on the podium now. He's got the Big Ten title trophy. Here's Dan Lanning.
The Ducks have been overlooked for far too long.
Nobody gave us a chance.
How were you able to bring this trophy back to the West Coast in year 1 of the Big Ten?
I didn't do anything. These players, man, these players put it on the line every single day. They work their asses off. They're so proud to be Oregon Ducks. They're so proud to represent every one of you. The fans, the players, our administration. We got it from top to bottom. It's unbelievable. We got great people here. And tonight they went and won the damn Big Ten.
I love it.
Coach, you're undefeated.
Jerry.
13-0. Number 1 in college football right now. Your journey is far from over. How far does this team go?
Hey, these guys can take it all the way if they continue to work, and I promise you this, these guys will do that. They will work. They will give every ounce of their effort to put us where we need to be.
Before I let you go, what would you like to say to all these fans out here?
Man, we love you. We are so grateful. We are so grateful. Every single person on this stage, Every single kid wearing a jersey right now, every player in this organization is so grateful to represent you and what you stand for. We love the Ducks. Go Ducks.
God. I don't think you guys could be more in love with a human being if you tried. It's unbelievable.
Him popping in a zit as he was walking out of the tunnel again, too.
God bless him.
Yeah, look at
I had
that.
a fat zit on my chin this week, and I had to pop that sucker, and it's still showing. Here, you talk about Dillon Gabriel and how much you trust him, and it's not that he's the greatest quarterback in Oregon history, but it's just the ability in a big game. And Bo was great for you, but he came up short against Washington. Dillon Gabriel's 13-0. Here's Dan Lanning on coaching Dillon Gabriel.
This guy deserves every single thing that comes his way. I told him that earlier this week when he got Player of the Year in the Big Ten. I mean, if anybody can't watch that performance and recognize how special he is, and maybe the most special play to me was the 3rd and 1 when he wanted it in his hands to get that tough yard. This team believes in him. They're grateful every day that they get to step on the field with him. He's about connection and people first, but the poise that he shows in big games is unmeasured. I mean, I haven't been around players like Dillon. I'm really grateful that I get to share the field with him.
Sounded like they murdered a duck in the background
Did.
there. Like they had to sacrifice one of them just to get that title.
That's what we do after every game.
Here is
It's a ritual.
Lanning. He was asked by our guest coming up at 8 a.m., Bill Oram. And it's got to be tricky for guys like Oram because I'd want to ask the same question. These guys don't want to operate in we're overlooking the next 3. But you kind of have to ask national championship-based kind of stuff.
I mean,
here.
you're in the playoff now. This isn't a hypothetical regular season week 4.
And I know Lanning doesn't want to talk about it. He's taking day by day. So here's Orm asking about envisioning a national championship.
I'll be honest, this is the furthest thing from my mind right now. Like, I'm worried about tomorrow. I'm worried about the next day, the next play. I think that's how you get there, right? If you start, putting the end goal inside. I don't think there's any secret what this team wants to accomplish. But you don't get there by just looking at it, right? It takes work, right? So I'm thinking right now, how can we improve? How can we get better? And there's a lot that we can grow from that game in all phases. That's really where my focus is at. And I think when you focus on the process, the rest takes care of itself.
He also has to worry about the day by day because guess what?
But Oregon has by far been the most dominant
That's
team
not the
this
transfer
year.
portal sound. I don't know why that got replaced.
Oh, we lost our transfer portal sounder
that
there?
was on there on Friday. I don't know why the portal opens today.
It does,
So now he's got to recruit his own team. They've got to look at guys that are going to be
But
jumping
Oregon has
from
by
portal.
far been the most
Nope.
dominant
No,
team this
No, I
year.
didn't click that.
No.
And it's interesting. We talk about
No,
parity
no,
in college football.
no.
We do have
David
parity.
Pollock. Why is David Pollock on my show
I don't
now?
know who.
Where did David Pollock come
On
from?
Friday, that was not David
No.
Pollock. That was really weird. So he's taking it day by day. And then he was also asked by Adam Rittenberg. They have something that's going on within their own program that they don't want to talk about all that much. They're calling themselves the Keystone species
Yes.
in the Big Ten. Here is Dan Lanning talking about that.
That's something kind of for us. Something we started the beginning of the season talking about. You get an opportunity to invade a new environment and, somewhere maybe you didn't belong and get the opportunity to take over that environment. And we said this is the last step for us to become that. So I'm really proud of our guys buying into that thought and, building off of it. But, that's just, again, motivation's overrated. These guys have to go out there and execute. They did that tonight.
Had you not heard the Keystone species thing yet?
I mean, I heard a little bit of that, but I didn't quite connect all the dots there. You got to love every little thing that he'll come up with.
Yeah, you do.
That you find a competitive edge or a motivational tactic, and he'll find it, man.
I guess I'll ask you this, and then we'll go. We still have Lanning audio, by the way, on the path to the national championship we can get to at some point. We'll talk with Bill Orm, who was in Indy live watching this game. I'm asking sincerely. Me and the listeners want to know. Are we completely nude with Steve Carell candles lit in your bedroom when the Ducks versus them video comes out from this?
Oh,
Are we taking photos of mom and sending them down gently so she doesn't see in the photo what you're about to do to yourself?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Jurgens is out.
Yeah,
It's,
come on.
Yeah,
Johnson's and Jurgens.
Candles are lit.
The amount of grown men, Duck fans, that are going to be feeling all kinds of conflicted about that Ducks versus them video, probably today or tomorrow, is going to be insane.
You, your girl, and your Johnson.
It's going to be a fun time.
There may be no girl there.
They already had a little tease of it, too.
You and your Johnson, a way of life for over 50 years.
It's going to be great. It's going to be glorious.